Hey yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk, guys. Welcome back and thanks for tuning in to this episode of World of Tanks. And we're going to talk about today unforced errors. These are errors that you made that were easy to avoid. And I've got 3 games with some examples right here. And usually what happens with the unforced errors is either takes you out of the game or it limits your opportunities or options later in the game because you've made bad trades, gone to bad positions, or some of both. So I've been playing a lot of scouts, and scouts really can bring out the unforced errors. As you know, if you make a mistake in a scout, you can pay for it pretty quickly and be out of the game. So you have to be very careful with scouts on positioning, decision making, and then follow on position and decision making from there. I'm in my M41D. This happened on stream, I believe. So I'm going to head over here. We are on Steeps. That's right. That is what it's called. We are on Steeps and we are in encounter mode. I'm going to come over to a place that's a pretty good scout position. I like to go there quite a bit. If I can, I like to be aggressive, but you've got to have the right positioning by your own team. You've got to have the right situation by the enemy team. And if you attempt to force a bad situation from this position, then you can get in trouble. And if it goes bad, you need to leave early because it's kind of exposed. So watch, I come down here. All right, spotted. I got spotted. Unfortunate. I did not want to do that. This position I'm going to is much better if you're unspotted. It's not that the enemy team doesn't think someone's there. They usually assume somebody is because it's a pretty common lockdown position for this lane. But I've been spotted and they know exactly who's headed there. So this was my first opportunity to go, okay, I guess that's probably not going to work. Let's rethink this. But I'm just going to head on in stubbornly, and then I confirm that I'm going there by letting this guy see me again instead of going dark. Now look what's happened. The 251 has made an aggressive move up. The Progetto, which is an autoloader, is there waiting for me to make a mistake. The scout's running around. I'm going to try to get some shots. Now I have some help. I have the other M41 here. It looks like I've got 2 mediums coming, but that's not much. And that was my second opportunity here to go, okay, let's rethink this. We'll keep going because I am a Muppet. Now my problem is the 251 has opportunities depending on what he does to spot me. Now I see a standard B coming in. This is getting worse, right? This is going from bad to worse. A scout in an aggressive forward position is going to keep these guys from supporting me very well because he's right here. If we can't dig him out, that's a problem. The other bulldog is smarter than me. He says, nope, this is not going to work. Well, I've gone to, like I said, a place that's hard to get away from. If I break cover, I'm going to have a hard time crossing that open area without getting killed. So I've really put my arse in a crack right here, and now I'm getting spotted from behind. Remember I talked about the 251 is kind of peeking around and doing stuff over here? Well, the back of my tank was around the rock, which is a problem with this position and a relatively large tank. Even though this is a scout, it's a big tank. Again, another thing you've got to take into consideration for unforced errors, what's my tank like, right? What class am I? How big is it? What are some of its vulnerabilities? My rear end is sticking out, and his spotting point must have come up and over here, but my spotting point did not have line of sight. If I zoom in, so I'm imagining he's over on this corner right here, and he just saw the back of my tank. And now I'm in big trouble because I can't not get spotted. Now I spin around so my rear end doesn't stick out, and I want to try to see this guy, and there he is. So I wait my 10 seconds and think, well, maybe I can come around here and get a shot. The other bulldog has come back, and I'm just going to stick in my front end, and I'm going to make another mistake. Kind of the same mistake there. Now my front end is in front of the rock, but my spotting point isn't around it, and that medium that came up is close enough to burn through any cover right there, and he ends up seeing me, and then I get shot by now an object 430, which was spotted, but he's down there somewhere as well, and now I'm in real trouble. It's me, an M41, and a Leopard, and it looks like the T55A must be right there with him. It's hard to see there on the replay. Unforced errors, guys. I went to my spot, bullheaded. I wanted to get there. I know it's a good light tank spot, but it depends on what your team's doing and then what the enemy team does. I got spotted. I forced the issue again. I jammed myself into a bad spot right here, and basically now I'm just waiting to die. I've lost most of my hit points. I'm a one-shot. There's a couple autoloaders. We got a standard B and a Progetto. Here comes the 430 that it's all over, guys. There's nobody to keep them from coming around the corner. The 251, although he's taken some hit points of damage, has done a nice job forcing the guys off the hill. There's no support for me, and it's all over. Here comes the Progetto. I get my one shot of damage. I break cover, trying to get away, and I'm dead. Unforced error, folks. All right, didn't have to happen. As soon as I got spotted, and let's say what I would have liked to have done as soon as I got spotted was not go there. Just, all right, that's not happening for the moment. Let's go find something else to do based on my team's positioning and the fact that they pushed that 251 up so fast. Maybe go take on the 251, try to get rid of him, or at least scout some snipes on him, or maybe some artillery shots on him, because that is a relatively vulnerable position where he was, but he was able to use it with pretty much impunity. He did take some hit points of damage, but he facilitated his team moving up. Second mistake was crossing over here and staying here. Pretty early on when that other bulldog started to move out, and he kind of hung out, but he was far enough back that he didn't get trapped like me. I should have broke cover and made a run for it. Then the bad positioning decisions behind the rock, and then just sitting there waiting to die. So unforced errors, 501 damage, put myself in a bad position, and I'm done. Let's go to the next example. We end up losing this. I wanted to show you this game because it's basically the same map, and I'm going to do a very similar thing as far as where I go. The result is going to be different once I get my zoom working again. SP1C, this is a tier 7 German tank, a bit smaller than the M41D, a little stealthier. We're going to sneak down here to the same rock. And this time, as I'm looking at it, I don't get spotted, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that I really don't have a whole lot of support. So I'm going to tunnel up here. I'm going to go ahead and sneak back, and I get spotted again. So I've got to run behind the rock, and that's not good. But got support a little further up. Try to get a shot on this Scorpion G, getting some damage out of him. Somehow I get spotted right there. I'm assuming because I shot one of those other guys saw me. Interesting thing about that rear turreted tank, I snuck around my front end. I could see with my gun the Scorpion G, but I couldn't really see either one of those two. But when I fired, the camo for the whole tank goes away, and the front end of my tank gets seen. So that's really interesting. I don't think they could even see my gun when I fired, but it ruined the camo for the whole tank. But we've got a much better situation regarding the enemy tanks, right? Because we knock a couple of them out and they're not being aggressive. There's not somebody up here spotting me. I have some support that makes sense, and I'm not seeing a big crowd of the enemy tanks. So this time, it was the right situation. The unforced error in this game is going to come later, and this is something that happens with a lot of you guys. You'll start winning, getting into good situations, and then all of a sudden get a little over aggressive. Now, they did actually have a lot of tanks. So just as I was starting to tunnel through, they came forward, so I'm going to go ahead and fall back. Good news is I don't have to fall back all the way across because of where they are. And I'm getting a lot of good spotting damage. I've also got a lot of good 15 meter / double bush action right here. I am a little bit concerned about the 45 TP, but for the moment, he's not in the position to see me. The Suma SM is going to be very difficult for me to pin from the front, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep working on these softer tanks. Really like to get out the IS if I could. There we go. So we get the 3002 tracked. The Pantera is able to take down the 45 TP, so he's no longer a threat to spot me. And this is a great position right here. I can go ahead and farm these guys. And now I can start moving up through the bushes, which is what I would have wanted to do with the game before, but the situation wasn't there and I needed to bail out. This time it was close, but because of the situation with my own tanks and my own team, I'm able to hold on. So we get them lit. I've got to go back until I get these bushes dark. There we go. And now I can take shots without being spotted. Got a shot into that guy, looking for his turret. Maybe I can sneak one onto the turret of the SM, but he backs around the corner. This allows me to move forward. This is a little bit dangerous because some of these bushes get a little thin and there are openings in them. I'm just hoping I can sneak through without being seen. There we go, that works out. And I wasn't able to. So I get hit by the Pantera. We get down the T-43, get a little bit lucky there. Now that is an unforced error. A little bit of over-aggression trying to get in there. I knew that, and as I was talking about it, those thin bushes with the little openings, and I got just a little bit too close. Take a shot, get spotted, and now I've got to bail out of that. So we'll sneak around up to the top, and Again, it was good to be aggressive right there and try to get in there, but kind of an unforced error of taking some hit points of damage. And this is not one, because we're actually outnumbered here. 2 of them are on low hit points, but so are 2 of ours. So this is not really great. Actually, we're not outnumbered. I can't count. However, it is certainly not a sure thing. Pantera is sitting back there probably trying to reload, and I figure I need to come up high. Now, counting noses right here is important. We've got 3 over here, 4 or 5, counting the 2 in the middle, 6, 7 over on the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all their tanks. So I'm not too worried about somebody getting me from the middle, but wait for it. I do get spotted crossing. Looks like the Pantera, or maybe the guy right there in front of me, the Suma, got a line of sight on me. The Suma dies, and now I'm going to push over here. Pantera comes out from his rock. He's fighting too many guys. I get a hit on him. He's going to try to run back into, nope, back and forth, back and forth. Doesn't know what to do. Being attacked from all sides. Clearly I'm spotted. The enemy team starts to win a little bit over on the other flank. Pantera dies. Now I come around here. We've got the 14-5 moving around in the back. We got a TS-5 right there. Okay. The 3002 actually sees me, so I'm going to get shot by this guy. Oops. Unforced error. I break out into the open for no real reason. There's still tanks back by their spawn, where their cap would be on standard. I really didn't need to cross across the open. I wanted to go back and take out this TS-5, but I didn't really need to take this line. And then you will notice that I'm also in draw range for all their tanks over here on their ridge, right, over on the west side. So yes, I cover up against the 3002, and then I see the TS-5, but look at me just out in the open right here. Looking for a shot on him. It doesn't happen. That's a bummer. Driving up here, hoping I'm bushed up. I'm going to get a shot on this guy. Oh, that bounces. That's too bad. Still just kind of driving out in the open. I get spotted. I get spotted, and that is not good. I get hammered by the TS-5, who just spins and fires at me. Pretty much unbelievable. I'm trying to get away from the TS-5, but I'm still uncovered from the UDES, which I'm assuming is what saw me right there, potentially. He just moved back into the edge of the bushes, or the edge of the ridge line back here, probably in this area right about here. So an unforced error. Could have farmed a lot more damage on this. I was having a good game at 2,202 damage and 1,755 assist. Game isn't won. We do end up winning this because we got a good position, but it's not won right now. And I throw my tank away in game, trying to rush forward and farm some damage. When a little bit more care would have probably kept me alive and allowed me to crank up a little bit more damage and a little bit more assist. So another good example. At least the unforced errors weren't too early in the game, but mid to late game, make a couple crucial mistakes right there in position and decision making, and I'm out of the game. All right, all right, third example. So let's talk a little bit about the unforced errors before we move on. I didn't want to front load this on the video because I wanted to show those 2 examples so we have concrete evidence of what I'm about to talk about. And I know if you're coming to my channel, then you probably already believe in this, or at least you're starting to learn about this. Those 2 games were great examples of the unforced error thing and how it affects your stats, because there was no really weird RNG that happened. I can't go to either one of those replays and tell you that, oh, I just got unlucky because RNG screwed me. I can't look at it and go, well, matchmaking was terrible for those 2 games. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. They were both on the same map from both from the same side, and I can't say, well, it was a bad map for my tank. You know, I had a scout on Himmelsdorf or something like that. Those were entirely decent matchmaking games. There was no weird, wacky RNG that I saw from either side, at least where I was involved with the game. One was a win. I did extremely poorly on the first one. Unforced errors, right? From what I did poorly. The effect was to help my team lose because I was not around to do more damage and help them win. The second one I did pretty well. We ended up winning, even though it was a little bit close when I died, and I very much wish I had maintained my vote. But we ended up winning, and I did quite a bit more damage. So correlation isn't always causation. That's not what I'm saying, but as a general rule in this game, if you're doing more damage and more assist, you're winning more. And you've got to try to decrease those unforced errors that you make. If you have a really good game and the team just ends up winning, that happens. I can completely agree with that. But there are those games where what you do very much matters, right? If you get raffle stomped, you get romple stomped. That happens. Okay, you can still learn from that. But there are a lot of games where what you do matters, and if you do a little bit better, you tend to win, and if you do a little bit worse, you tend to lose, and that is almost entirely up to unforced error in those cases. If you're driving your SP or your Hawk 12 and the KV2 snapshots you for all your hit points from 500 meters, that happens, right? Could be an unforced error. Maybe you went to a bad position and got lit. That's the thing you can learn. But as far as the RNG of getting snapped by a KV2 going full speed, well, there you go. That kind of thing happens. But in other games, in a good percentage of the games, your unforced errors, what you do, what you are responsible for, is what helps determine whether your team wins or loses. You know, I have a theory that I put out a lot that people disagree with, and it's purely theoretical that if you played the perfect game every game, you would win every game, regardless of what the rest of your team does. There's going to be a lot of pushback and arguments for that, but just understand that's a theoretical idea. And if you consider it in the theoretical arena, then okay, yes. If I played the perfect game in my Hawk 12, every shot was a pen, every shot was an ammo rack for max damage, clearly the probability of that is infinitesimal. The possibility is there because the mechanics exist. You understand what I'm saying? So go from there, I track from there and go, all right, how do I always try to get to that game? Right? Even though I know I will probably never approach that game, how do I always try to get to that game? And if I can get some kind of incremental improvement along the way, I'll call that a win. I will call that a win. And then I will accept that the game has RNG, it has other humans making decisions, good and bad, all the other things that pile into the reason that I don't have a 100% win rate and every one of my shots hits and every one of them does an ammo rack for max damage. Does that make sense? So we're trying to get rid of the unforced errors, and that's probably the biggest thing that players in this battle or in this game can try to understand when they're trying to improve. Is what I'm trying to do is not improve my team, although I do like to try to help others. There is that aspect of it, but in the middle of a match, what I'm attempting to do is play my best game. Whatever's going on around me, and I try to take all that information in as much as I can, and then go from there in decision making to play my best game, right? And I think people get really mad because they want to try to play everybody's best game, and that's what angers them, because they look around and go, well, everyone's not playing their best game. Well, guess what, Bubba? Neither are you. Neither are you, and the only person you can control is you. So play your best game, minimize unforced errors. So here I am on the Hawk 12, in the Hawk 12. Are we in them? I don't know, you know, just like third person, am I actually in the tank? I don't know, we say that all the time, but here we go. I think the coffee's kicking in on the third example right here. I like this bush. This is the most common bush known to man as far as spotting on this map. How these Muppets don't know that someone's in this bush spotting them. There's a couple guys behind me, potentially, that might be spotting as well, but I don't think anyone's come around the corner yet. Yeah, they're all sitting down on this low side getting shots across here. A lot of times I'll just take a poke into this bush if I think somebody's sitting in it, spotting me every time I come around the corner like this LTTB. I was talking about this. This was on stream. I'm like, I really want to take these shots. I think I take one here, and unfortunately it bounces. The A44's got some pretty good armor on the front, goofy angles. Now, that's kind of an unforced error. I just wanted to get some damage out of that. I do that a bit. I go, I'll just take a shot, so what if they see me? I'll back out and come back in the bush. But now they know it's me, right? Maybe I should have held on just a little bit longer on that, but it was a juicy shot. I'm thinking, man, I really want to shoot this guy again. Problem now is, and why I'm talking about this, is they know I'm here, so there's probably some guns pointed. What people will do when they see somebody using a bush like this, a lot of people will just stare at it, just waiting for the guy to do that again, and they're going to shoot. And even if you shoot and try to back out, you can't quite get away. Look at all these guys are just lined up right here. I was really hoping that the GW Panther would have a heyday. It is kind of a light artillery. Look at this. Now we've got this T-69 coming up and over. I'm just really, I want to shoot so badly, and I might actually do that here in just a minute. There we go. They already went in there and got a piece of him. Killing the LTTB would be nice. But I do have the guys behind me, and I'm thinking, well, they're taking some shots, so let's see if they can get some damage on them. How this Patton has not been absolutely obliterated. Look at me, he's still at full hit points. He just, I'm just sitting there looking at this, and that's what I'm talking about just a minute ago. I can't play the other guy's tanks, right? I can only play my tank. And as I'm watching this, thinking, why is this Patton still alive? How have these guys not obliterated? Now, I'm a little higher, and he's a little back, so it may be that there's not much of his turret showing right there. But they've got so many tanks there. There's a WT, there's the A44, there's the Patton, there's at least the T69. He's an autoloader. Finally, some shots are coming on the Patton. There we go. There you go, fellas. You just got to play your game, guys, or at 1,100 damage. I'm going to go ahead and take that shot. I'm looking for the track. Got a little damage out of it as well. That works out, and we'll come back here and see what's going on. Got to wait to go dark. And this is feeling like a really good situation, but I want to avoid the unforced error right now. I'd love to push up there and get some lights, but here's why I'm not doing it. There's 4 tanks there for one. One of them's autoloader. I do have some backup, but they're kind of getting beat up. And these dudes are not really paying a lot of attention. The Patton is, but nobody else is really paying a lot of attention to what's going on right in front. They're all kind of snipe. Also, if you cross into this flat right here, even if you get up against their ridge line, there can be shots coming in at you from over here. But what I'm watching happen is my team is actually folding in on them there through the city, and we are position-wise in a pretty good situation. Also, the field is, for the moment, being taken care of over on the east side. There we go. So the standard B dies. 1375 kills their standard B, which was camping in the back. That was bad. We're starting to get a very favorable map position. So now I'm going to move forward. I am fairly certain I won't get shot on this side. I do need to avoid getting shot from there. Take a quick look. I probably should have just kept trucking. I was thinking I might get a shot. Now I'm going to tuck up here and we're going to get some proxy lights because they're all kind of hanging out right here. There we go. The S51's a problem, but I wanted to go ahead and start pressing these guys, get them lit. Here comes our guys. People shooting in there. People dying. Babies crying. The whole 9 yards. The T69's clipping out. Patton's getting a shot. Everyone's shooting in there. Now the T69's probably done shooting and on a reload. Their Patton has fallen back. I'd love to get in there amongst them and start giving them heck, but it's just not quite the time, right? I want to avoid that unforced error. There we go. Now that's a big deal. Now that's a big deal. All right, so the A44 dies. This T69's on a reload. He gets stunned. That's going to increase his reload. So I'm going to go ahead and come in here and just take a little chunk of him. We'll press on to the Patton, who's just not paying attention. This guy's not a very good player. I did note that along the way. I'm like, this guy doesn't seem like a really great player or a very aware player. So I'm able to flow from the T69, who I knew would be killed by these guys, so I kind of left him. I also wanted to cover up from any shots down here or any shots coming from the Super Pershing, and I float over to the Patton and we start working on him, and now we've got a good situation. This is tricky. There's a lot of TDs left. I know at least the Super is up there. I expected to take a hit. I was okay with trading some hit points to move forward, tuck up under, and then get some lights for my snipers up here. Looks like the WT fell back. We're still in decent shape in town, but you'll notice that their TDs, they made us pay a heavy price to move into that part of the town. We had a great situation there, and now all of a sudden it's kind of even. So I'll come up here, I'll sneak a shot on the WT. Now I'm hoping for my snipers to start getting shots. The Super camping up here, the WT. Unfortunately for me, the Scorpion and the Patton and the T43 all start moving forward. That was a little bit surprising to me that happened. That's going to limit our ability just a bit to keep them from pushing up on the hill. I don't have any shots on him. Just take a quick look. And this gets real squirrely here real fast. So I'm trying to avoid those unforced errors in this game, and here comes the Super. He's got some decent armor. He's got some hit points, and he's really making kind of a good move right here. I'm going to try to sneak one into him, try to get away, see if I can get, there we go. He's got good gun depression, but I tuck down around the corner, and he can't really shoot. There he goes. He takes a shot, so I'll come in here. He reloads quickly, but I'm going to try to track him. That works out. Try to get away from him again. I'm going to keep pressing him. He fires. Come in here and look for that track again. There we go. And unfortunately, did not mean to do that, but I'm trying to get away. And all of a sudden, here comes the WT. He makes a good move. So we've gone from a really good situation to a really dicey situation. I'm just going to try to stay away from the gun from the WT. Holy cow, here comes the Super on delay. Ariba, he takes a shot at me. We need to get rid of this WT, and then we can start working on the super. The super switches to the Patton, which is probably a mistake on his part. And I'll get another shot. Down goes the Patton. Holy cow, here comes the SU-152. This guy shoots me. I go past the 152, so he can't shoot me. And we come in behind him right there. So no real big unforced errors on this one yet. The enemy team, they made the unforced errors, right? The enemy team made the unforced errors, and you take advantage of it. Now we can move in here. And all of a sudden, what looked like a really pretty solid win is looking not great again. Just like that. We're at 3,000 damage. We got 1,800 assist. And I'm going to fall back. I still have some decent hit points. I'm probably a one-shot to a hit and pen or a very near shot to the S51. I have no armor. He hits really hard, so I need to watch out for that. The Hellcat can get me in two. The DA is an autoloader. That's a problem. And then all of a sudden, look at what we found here. Down goes the S51. Fantastic. So now I'm not worried about just being bombed, trying to hide behind a rock, or running full speed across the open. T-43 is in pretty good hit points. The HTC has been doing some work in town, and now things are looking a little bit better. Looks like the T-43 is going to jump on cap. I think that's a good idea in this case. Scattering and running around and attempting to take on a T-71DA and a Super Hellcat, if they're together, can be very problematic for one tank. The DA, I think, has got enough in his clip to take me down alone and then throw in a Super Hellcat shot, and I won't last very long. So I'm going to cross over this way because I can see that the light tank is out there in the field. And look at what we found here, the Hellcat. Again, unforced error. I thought he was AFK, and maybe he is. Yeah, there we go. AFK. Very helpful that the Super Hellcat was not shooting at us. 3,475 damage. Now I'm going to push in and see if I can't find the T-71DA, and I don't think I actually find him. Let's find out. Not till the end. Yeah, I'm going to bore through the bushes here. So just a much more careful game. I took the chances when I needed to, was able to keep guys lit, was able to move forward with support. So when I did make moves, I was supported. I tried to play my best game and attempted to keep the unforced errors out of it. I don't think you would look at any of that and go, well, RNG played a huge role in that, Guido. You know, as far as I could tell, there wasn't anything really out of the ordinary RNG-wise in there. And we don't end up killing the T-71DA. But that's the kind of game you're attempting to do. As careful as possible while being aggressive, taking the chances when you need to, and moving on. Now, there would be one argument. When I did break cover and go down the hill, I was probably pretty lucky that there wasn't two or three, at least two being the Super and the WT, staring at me going over and down that hill. But remember, our guys were pushing through the town, right? We had that big glob in the middle of town, which I did note. So it was very likely their attention was at least a bit distracted right there. If they had owned the town and I knew there were guys camping back there, that would have been an unforced error, definitely pushing forward and down that hill. Because more than likely, they knew we had beat their guys on the hill and somebody was going to come up and over that ridge. And they weren't pressed from the town side. So they would more than likely all be looking at me. And that's what I'm talking about right there. All right, guys, I hope you learned something. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, throw me a follow. Subscribe, whatever it is, on YouTube. If you're looking for other ways to support the channel, you'll find that down in the description. Have a good Saturday, guys. Take care, and we will see you.